Hey everybody. I know I put on, well, first of all, welcome. Thank you for joining me. This is my second official episode of the Made from Scratch podcast. I've had a little bit of technical difficulties on my end trying to work things out, but my guest is here. We were doing a little conversating before I came on live. If you guys do not know who she is, her name is Opalina Salas, and she is an amazing person. She is a poet, a writer, an author, a musician, okay? And on top of that, she's been a wife and a mother for a very long time. And I'm bringing her on today because she has been all over the poetry scene in Dallas for a very long time. She's very well known. She does things like she's got an event coming up, believe tomorrow for Word Space. And then she's also does poets on X. She's Tahana Cosmica, if you guys don't know what that is. But she is awesome. And she's even written a poetry book. And we'll go into a little bit of detail of that. So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce you guys to Opalina. Let me pull her up real quick. Here we are. Hey. Okay, now let's get this party started.
Do it.
Like I was saying before, we had talked a little bit before he came on. She was very gracious as I was trying to figure out a lot of the technical stuff that I was trying to work out, because I'm working with a few different items today that I didn't have. So just playing around with it and trying to figure out the technical aspect was a little bit different. But I started doing this as a way to not only be creative and express myself, but also to introduce the everybody to a lot of creative and interesting people that I get to meet with and I've known for a very long time. Opalina grew up in the same city as I did. We grew up in Lancaster, L-Town. Hey, what's going on? And believe me, I know a lot of people who grew up in this little town and went out and done a lot of huge things, and these are some of the people that I hope to be reaching out to later on, because to me, they're an inspiration that greatness can come from anywhere. You can come from anywhere and make your way in this world. So it's not how you start your journey, it's how to end the journey. So
weirder the place, the more creative people come out of it too.
Yes, exactly. And that's
the place.
Yes, and it's for me, I still I've seen it change because I'm still living in the same town, and it's still a place where it doesn't matter, the area, the landscape, how it's changed. The people here are still great. It's still a great little town. I enjoy still living here, and hopefully, I don't know if my kids will want to stay here, but I'll probably be here till, unless my path changes, I'll probably be here until I'm in the ground. But so let me start off by asking you a few questions, if you don't mind.
Not at all.
First one I would want to ask you is just describe a little bit about how you found your creative way into writing poetry and discovering that you wanted to write. It took me, for me, it took me a long time to figure out that I wanted to be a writer.
Right.
Even though I had written stories as I was a kid, I was 12 years old. I was making my own comic book.
Right.
But I never thought of it as, hey, you're creative. You could be artistic. You're a writer. I just thought it was something you did as a kid. And
I think I've always kind of known that that's what I was going to do. Kind of like you, I was writing from the time I was really, really young. I used to write my own stories, my own books. I was kind of a lonely kid. I kind of was by myself. I had an older sister, but she was so much older than I was that we really didn't spend, time together because I was just a little kid. So I had to find a lot of things to keep myself occupied. So I had a really vivid imagination, and like most people do when they're alone, and so I kind of just had always been making things up all the time. I always had stories and running dialogues in my head, and but it wasn't until when I was in high school in Lancaster. I had a really wonderful teacher, Miss Debbie Lee. She was my English teacher, and writing composition teacher, and she had a really special connection with a lot of my friends. I think she kind of loved us little weirdo underground underdogs, and she gave us a place and and to have a voice. And she always encouraged us, and so I got to write a lot of stories that in that year I was with her, and I got a lot of really fabulous feedback. And I don't know, I guess really I didn't think about writing seriously other than for my own amusement, up until really a few years ago. I had been performing open mic poetry since I was in my 20s, and that
Wow.
was always fun. It was just for fun. I really liked doing it, and I really liked the people that I met. Um, but since getting my book published through Mansell Press, and that's been about a year now that's happened. That was my first really foray into like doing something, and I don't know, putting a name to it.
Yeah.
I could submit my work a lot, but not really very much. I don't know. I guess that's the story.
Yeah.
The Mad Swirl Collective, the open mic, the online zine, the print zine that they did for a while, which I hope that they do again soon. Um, just the people, the family. Um, I knew that was my home when I met them. So I've kind
Yeah.
of I have a lot to thank those people, Johnny Olson and MH Clay, and Madeline Olson, who did the illustrations for my book, and just everybody that's involved with it. So I don't that kind of took a weird turn, but it's natural because when you find a place where you just really feel like you belong and where you are appreciated, and they're rooting for you,
Yeah.
um, that gives you more direction and it gives you more drive. But
Exactly.
as for now, I don't know where my writing is taking me, but I know that because of the book, I feel like I can do anything now. I feel like I can write and create things and make things happen now. So that's been really good for my self-confidence and for my direction in writing
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. Exactly. I'm coming to that threshold myself. I've been working on a book now. The story's been in my head for like 3 or 4 years, and I've actually finished the book out. I'm actually done with it. I'm just um, I had been saving money to find an editor,
Yeah,
and more than likely, I'm probably going to go the self-publishing route. Which, hey, but it's something that I've been, you know, working on for a very long time, it's one of the interesting thing I wanted to ask a lot of authors who've had published. What was it like once you actually held your book, something tangible in your hands? I mean, the feeling of
uh,
seeing it, your name there, your words, your story, that's everything that came from up here
I'll be
shared
really
with the world.
I'll be really honest with you. It's terrifying. It was terrifying because I felt like I had opened myself up to another avenue of people reading my work, and because I do poetry, and because, well, this first collection, I'm calling it my first because there's going to be many more. I can feel that. But my first collection, it was very autobiographical. It's about a lot of different things that had happened to me, and kind of created the person that I am now. And so there were stories about some deep things and some sadness, and maybe even some traumatic events. So I was a little concerned that it may not fly with people, or it may be too much. So it was terrifying. It was
Yeah,
also terrifying that maybe somebody liked it. Because I really don't care if somebody doesn't. They don't have to read it, right? But
Yeah.
but it's almost even more terrifying to have somebody be able to relate to your work and ask you questions about your work. That's weird. When somebody said, "Oh, I read your book and I remember this poem and what did that mean?" And I was like, "I don't even remember it." Like, it's in there. Thank you for reading my
Yeah.
that. It's like the weirdest thing. So, yeah, but
You know,
for me, it was terrifying. I mean, there was of course, there's a moment of pride, but it was very surreal. And I actually avoided my book. I would have my book in the house, and I would avoid looking at it because it was really really heavy. Um, I mean, because this has been like since I was a kid, like drawing and making the covers of my own stories, and now it's like a real thing. I don't know.
exactly. And that's the, that's the part that, everybody dreams about it. You say, hey, I dream about publishing a book and writing a book. But once you're there, and you've crossed the finish line, what comes afterwards? What are the things that you feel, and how does it make you think when you're looking at life now? Because you've actually accomplished something. Most people have no, have never done anything like that in their lives. There's some people that go, hey, I want to finish a marathon, and when they get past the first one, they go, man, I loved it so much, or they either say I hated it, but it's an accomplishment, something that you do because, for me, I not only not just planned one story, but I have three books
Right,
that I've wanted to put out there for a very long time. But for what held me back was, fear. Again, like you
or
said, you're opening yourself, you're making yourself vulnerable to the world, and um, I'm learning that more than likely than not, a lot of people will read your material, and
right,
it will resonate with a lot of people. You know, but then you get people to say, hey, some people will read it and they'll go deeper in the meaning than what you did when you first wrote it, expected it to go that far. Somebody go, oh man, it touched me in a way it made me feel sad or happy or cry, or, and I never planned on any of those emotions.
right,
I was just creating what was here in my head and my heart and putting it out there. And
right.
that's all I wanted to do.
Yeah, well,
So
then you're coming from the right place because you know, um, I don't know. I really haven't figured it all out but I do know one thing. I think it does make you think that there are other things that you can do. That I really kind of feel like my world is wide open now. I feel like I can do pretty much anything I want to try because if I did this, then I can try anything. And whatever happens and whatever the outcome is, it doesn't even really matter. It just kind of matters that I did it. And coming from somebody who doesn't really have a lot of self-confidence in a lot of areas in life. Okay, I mean, trying as hard as you can to just kind of be part of the world. It's given me a lot. There's no way I would be doing music now. I wouldn't have allowed myself to just try it and to have fun. Um,
yeah,
and
that's
and and brought a lot of really great moments into my life and a lot of really good relationships. And I play with my husband, so that's opened up our relationship too and made it, really different and really great and really collaborative because I'd been wanting to collaborate with him for a really long time, but we couldn't really collaborate with the words the way that I thought we were going to do that. It ended up being this, and that's
yeah.
what's so cool because I could never have expected that. But it makes you want to do more stuff. It
Yeah,
it makes it
you want to
better.
step out of yeah, you want to step out of that comfort zone and try things that you like this now. I started just doing video one day because I said, you know what? I want to try it. I want to put myself out there. I want to see what the world and what the universe has for me. So
Yeah.
I just started doing it, and I said, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
I like being there and putting myself out there. And I know I people say, well, you're probably not going to get a lot of people that follow you. Well, that's not the point.
Not the point,
The
right?
point, the point, if I was doing this to make a business and to monetize and find a way to make revenue doing all this, well, I probably would have done it a little bit differently. But this was just something that I wanted to do as a labor of love, because I'm not going to be getting paid to do any of this. But I
Right.
do, but I do love learning about the creative process and how creative people think, because each one of us has our own unique style, our own unique way of learning and sharing with everybody. And
Hey,
that's what's so amazing. Whenever I meet people or talk to people, they say, "Man, you're really creative," and I don't see myself that way, but they tell me that. And again, I'm probably you probably feel this way. You're probably your own worst critic whenever it comes to
oh yeah.
sharing your work, sharing your writing. I'll look at something and I go, "Oh my God, this is terrible," or I'll put my head down and yeah, exactly. And then somebody will read it and they go, "Oh my God, I could never do that." And I go, "Really?" That doesn't seem. I guess it's just the grand scope of how each person thinks. I get each creative person has a different way of seeing seeing how life and how whatever they see in their mind gets put out into the world. So, um, that's I've always been enamored with uh, with writers more than anything, because
Oh, me
I used to love reading books. I used to That was a favorite thing of mine, and
love writers. I have writer crushes all the time. I call them
exactly.
poets. So I have
Well,
at my open mic, I get to hear people that I've never heard before, and I get to, it's. I really kind of just do it now, still after all these years, just because I have that exposure to hearing new voices all the time, and it's great. I mean, because like you said, everybody comes to it differently, and everybody has something different to say, and my philosophy on creativity has always been that everybody has it. Everybody has that spark, as long as they stay true to who they are. There's no way you can't be creative,
yeah,
because you're coming from the source of your own energy and your own spirit, and you're not trying to impress anybody, or you're not trying to be better than someone. You're just being yourself, and there's nothing more creative than being yourself, because nobody can duplicate that. So when people tell me, "Oh, I could never do something like that," and I said, "Well, maybe you wouldn't do it the same way, but there's a spark in everyone. You just have to give up, and you have to give it up, and you have to let it be what it's going to be, whether it's going to be drawing a comic book, or writing a poem, or writing a story, or singing a song, or making a fabulous dinner." I mean, there's so many ways to be creative, and there's so many ways that we can shine, and it doesn't have to be one person is better, or than the other person, because it's just that's not what the deal is, man. It's just being yourself, and if
yeah, and like
you're gonna
I
be great.
yeah, and I've wanted to go to one of your events for a very long time.
You
I've always been shy though. I go, oh, I say I feel my courage up, so I want to go, want to go, want to go, want to go,
well,
and then I go,
I tell you something about my reading, and I'm not just saying this because it's mine, but I've had so many people tell me that they feel really comfortable and very welcomed, and it's not high pressure, and it's very, very low key and laid back. We have a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. Um, because we're not there to grade anybody or hold anybody up to any standards. We're just there to listen. And the people who come out to these readings, I love them so much because they're there to listen. They're there to be a part of the experience, not only there to read and perform and to be on stage or to be in the limelight, but to hear what other people are saying and to interact with them. So many times people have gotten up for the first time, and have gotten instant feedback from people, or have made an instant connection with someone, or or a collaborative connection with people. And that's really why, because there, that's the opportunity that we were all looking for, is just a place where we can belong. And so I would suggest, if anybody is interested and maybe is, you've heard about open mic poetry and you think it's about some dark kind of like underground place with cigarettes and like dark and beatniks and whatever you think it is,
Yeah.
it's not like that unless it's beatnik night at Poets
Yeah.
Lounge, and we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But I'm serious, like it if anything, I think people are surprised of what it's like, because I when I was doing open mics back in like the late 80s, early 90s, a lot of that stuff was just in bookstores with coffee and you know um you couldn't say the F word and you couldn't say anything you wanted to say. And so it was kind of limiting. And then in the 90s, just things started popping up like the slam, and it made it more accessible to people who didn't want to go to a bookstore and who didn't want to go by any rules. And now I kind of see things that are kind of like, I feel like my reading is kind of halfway between the both, where you can sit down and really listen, but you can get up and you can rant and you can say what you want to say. And and I kind of just found a happy place to be, and I have a lot of people that really enjoy it. So
Yeah. I'm definitely going to go put myself out there to go do it. If I can do this, right? If I can do
absolutely.
this, I can do that. And again, it was just me being like, again, it was the fear, it was the hesitation, it was just not. It wasn't even the fact of where it was. It could have been anywhere. It could have been in a back alley. I wouldn't have cared. It was just me not being able to stand up and be myself.
Yeah.
And so, but
What
I
I always
started.
say is that you can go and you don't have to perform either. You can just sit and listen. And if you feel like you want to, then you can. And a lot of people do. They don't intend on getting up, but it's, the spirit moves them sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't, and sometimes they're just happy to come and listen. One of our regulars, I remember coming for so many months. He was like on the peripheral, and he was just kind of hanging out. And I thought, this is great. We have somebody to come and listen to poetry, and they're just here to listen. And then one day this guy gets up, and I was like blown away. I'm like, this guy was waiting all this time to get up when he was ready, and when he was ready, he blew everybody away. So
Yeah,
you never know. That's another thing about poetry, and another thing about creativity, is you could be sitting next to the most astoundingly amazing creative person in the world, and you'll never know. And that's what
yeah,
I like too, because you're gonna see people, and then you're gonna realize you're walking through life all day long, and there are these amazing people right next to you, and they have so much to say, and
yeah.
it's so enlightening. Just
And
like it gives me bumps. It makes me excited.
yeah, and that was the one part. It was that I was trying to figure out to get past, was because when I sit down and write, I can always go back and edit, or I can sit back and think about it and go, oh no, I don't like that, or change this or change that, right? But whenever you put yourself out there to be in front of the camera or in front of a microphone, you're letting yourself be vulnerable to whatever. But I started realizing that when you stand there in front, all that goes away, all the fear, all the worry, all of it just starts disappearing, and
It
you
can.
get and you can just be free. You can be yourself. It's like the first time I stood in front of a camera and was talking, I felt so awkward, but I've been doing it now for like about the last month and a half and 2 months, and I'm starting to feel more comfortable with it. And that's why I said I got to make this jump. If I don't start doing something like this now, I'm never going to get past my own fear. Same thing with whenever I was doing my own book.
Yeah.
If I don't get past, that's the hardest thing for people to figure out, is just how to get past the
Yeah.
fear of, criticism, the fear of failure. The you know
Some people
what
are afraid to succeed too. As odd as
exactly.
that sounds, some people are afraid that they may actually succeed. And then that would be like a different thing altogether, because you don't know what to expect. but I'll tell you, it feels really good.
Yeah.
And, no matter, and success is, to me, success is just setting an idea and finishing it, whatever the outcome is. You
Yeah.
did it, and whatever the outcome was, that was the outcome. But that is success because you put yourself in motion, and you went through the process. I like, my really good friend, Monica Bell, was actually the person who was, well, kind of saying, well, why haven't you written a book? Why haven't you done it yet? And it was just kind of this funny thing, and I was just like, because why would I do that? And she's,
Yeah.
and she made me come over to her house and bring all of my work, and she just started going through it and putting it in piles, and it started to make it was really real. Then it was like, I can do this. Like, this is actually, I've got the work, it can happen. And then, of course, my editor, MH Clay, through Man's Swirl, just was tremendous and amazing. And I mean, he helped me hone it down and pick what was good that would fit in that context. And he helped me work through things, and I learned how to work with an editor, which I never knew how to do. I mean, I don't know how to do any of that stuff. I mean, this is, this was purely out of like people just wanting me to succeed. And I'd never allowed that kind of attention for myself. Like, I never allowed anybody to try to help me do anything. And it was a big learning process for me to learn that's part of the creative process, is letting people help you too. I've always been a big helper. I feel like I'm there for the community, and that's what I love to do. I love to be there for people, but I never let anybody help me.
Yeah.
So that was, it was like,
That,
oh,
yeah.
we can
That,
do it some other time. It's not important. But let's make sure that you're good, and we can get your stuff, and you can get out there and get your book done.
yeah.
And it's kind of running like that for years, man. And but it was really great. It felt good, but this felt amazing. Like, we
Yeah.
all
Because,
have our own form of success, and work on our own things.
and
So
that's
that's
that.
kind of the thing. Since the book came out, I'm working on myself right now. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And that's, at some point you gotta go past just saying, well, I can help this person. I know how to help this person. I know how to
Right.
do this. Hey, I've done this before. Let me help you do this. You got to start taking time to start investing in yourself as well, which is
Absolutely.
what started this whole journey for me, was just trying to invest time in myself. I've done other things to help other people. But again, if you get to this point where I started seeing friends that were a little bit older. I find out that they pass away or something like that, and I go, oh
Uh,
my god. I go, oh my god. He was only like a year older than me, and you kind of start seeing, your own mortality and thinking about it and going, what do I want to be remembered for when everything's said and done? It, what are people going to say? You know, whenever I pass away, because everybody, hey, there's that's cool. So,
that's
uh,
not your
yeah,
best. It's not your best sign. Let me see if I can
Joan,
get my. Come on.
yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, no, that's okay. Don't worry. I got my dog down underneath my table because he knows I'm in here, and he wanted in here so bad, so he was in here. I let him in here just because. But yeah, I mean, so the whole purpose, because I talked to a few people who've done podcasting, who've done video casting, who've done all this work, and they said, well, what's your whole purpose behind it? What do you want to do? Are you trying to make money? I'm like, no, not trying to make money. Well, what is it? And I said, well, I think I want to use it as an avenue to express myself creatively, just another
Yeah,
way. You know, um, I told him, I know I can write. I know I can.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I've got myself in the habit of saying I'm a writer. I always used to say, well, I'm an aspiring author, and people started telling me, no, say you are a writer because that's what you are. You're a writer. I said, you know what? You're right. You're a writer. I am a writer. So that's what I'm doing. And exactly.
Welcome to crazy.
Yes. um, it's a
Welcome.
one way ticket. So I'm ready. But so I wanted to start not only just sharing myself this way by meeting interesting people and talking about, because when I first started doing this a couple of months ago, I got introduced to so many different people. I've a sculptor, artists, painters, uh, poetry writers, and I said, man, I'm getting introduced to all these people for the first time. I said, I would like to share their stories and share who they are with the world, because it's
that's fantastic.
Because everybody can do this. What I'm doing now, everybody can do it. You got a Facebook account, you can hop on Facebook Live, but the problem is I don't see too many people doing it then. I might see one or two people doing it, and I go, wow, well, that's crazy, because everybody has their own platform now. They don't have their own soapbox to stand on and share what they want to share with the world. And I'm trying to show people that you can take advantage of that. This is just another way. Imagine, there it is. Look, there it is, the book. Guys, you can find this. You can find this on Amazon, guys. Amazon.com. Just look up Opalina Salas, and it's Mad Swirl Publishing is the one that published the book. If you go and look it up, look at that.
We're gonna find a really good piece of artwork to show you by Madeline, because she's an incredible artist. And as soon as I knew that I wanted to do this, this is who I wanted to illustrate it. There's a
look at that.
This is fantastic.
Look at that.
So talented. And she's actually just come out with her own comic book series.
Oh, wow.
Posting the link on my poetry page so you guys can find her and get some more of her artwork, because I think everybody needs this in their life.
Yes.
Look at this. Amazing. Look at that. Yeah. And here's another this is my publisher, Mad Swirl Press.
Yes.
And this is the anthologies that they've come out with. There's two, 2018. This is 2017. I'm proud to be in the anthologies as well. And okay, quick plug. It's my friend Josh Weir. It's my brother. This is his book from Free Tongue Press.
Oh, wow.
Press. That's a local press. Look him up. He's amazing. Look at this artwork by Steve Cruz. Cruz, Fine Arts.
That's another person I want to put on my list. I would love to have a conversation with him.
My papa. Yeah. And here's an oldie but a goodie. This is Chris Zimmerly. Get in the mother loving car. This is my bandmate.
Oh, wow.
Poetry as well, because we're all doing it. We're all out there. We're all doing it.
Hey, that's another thing that, like I said, we haven't even touched upon it. Is you playing in a band. You started taking this up. That to me was also amazing when I saw you start doing that, and I go, wow, she's expanding. She's expanding her talent. She's stepping outside of it, and then picking an instrument that. Tell them the instrument that you play, because it's fascinating as well.
Well, I play a lot of different things. I play theremin, and I have a new Korg synthesizer, and I also play different kind of little pocket operators. Although my husband plays that mostly, he's got quite a bit. Yeah, let's see. I mean, like, I've got a few things here I can show you. Why not this? Let's see. Flipping you around now.
Yeah.
There we go. Oh,
Oh yeah.
So this is my new cord. Yeah. And all this stuff is like, you know, used secondhand stuff, most of it. These are newer things that I play. This is my chaos pad, which is fantastic and beautiful. I don't have anything plugged in, otherwise I'd play something. There's a microphone where you have to listen to me and get really long-winded and do poetry, because we do poetry with that. This is our studio slash dining room slash cat. You want to say hi, cat? No. It's my
That's pretty
husband.
awesome.
Yeah, it's my husband's setup. He's like the real deal. So he's got like the real stuff here and there. Yeah, that's the cat. And so yeah, you should come out and catch one of our gigs if you get a chance.
Oh, most
I'm gonna
definitely.
flip you around. All right, here I am. That
Okay.
was fun. Hope I didn't give anybody vertigo. Let's see.
No, no,
All
no.
right.
They should be good.
My
Yeah. So
under the names, my husband and I's duo is Your Loving Son, and
yeah.
it's kind of noise experimental, sample based stuff. And then we have another band called Ambergris, which I'm really excited about. We have a guitarist, Chris Zimmerly, percussionist, George Lucas, not the George Lucas, but George Lucas.
Exactly.
Opalina Salas and me, and we're going to be doing some gigs coming up really soon. So, yeah. So I was saying,
Yeah.
hey, I got to
If
promote
you
myself. Got a lot of
There you
stuff
go.
going.
There you go. And then if you just shoot me a copy of all the links, I'll put them in the show notes, because I'm also, what I'm doing when I finish this live stream, I can also download the audio and I put it all together and I post it as a podcast as well on
Fantastic.
a separate podcasting site. So
Well, then I'm going to say hi to my podcasting friends. Hi, Ken Mills, Podfather. I'm on
yeah.
another podcast, and stuff with him, and he's always been really great at promoting stuff. So I love you, Ken. Mwah.
Yeah. So this stuff here, it's pretty awesome because um, I do this, and then when I download it, all I go back to do is do a little bit of editing, add a show intro, outro, and then I upload it up to my podcasting website.
That's
So
cool.
it's serving two purposes. I get to be on live, and then I get to also create a podcast, which
Well, I'm excited. This has been a lot of fun, and I
yeah.
hope it wasn't too zany.
Yes. No, no, no. It was perfect. So,
Too many
you know,
cat noises or
no, this is the fun part about live audio. I mean, live video. You get to see everything that goes on, and I think that's what the fun part is. And oh, check it out, a friend of ours, Mr. Bobby Gorman, was just saying, "Y'all are awesome." Look at that.
Hi, Bobby. Miss
So
you.
yeah, you get to see. Yeah. Again, this is the fun part, though. This is the actual part that I love doing it, because again, this is my creative forum. This is for me to get to be out there, introduce the world to who I want to introduce them to, talk about what I want to talk about, and hopefully it can lead me into another avenue to go express myself somewhere else.
Worse. I'm
It's
excited for you, and I'm glad that you're doing this. And I want to thank you for being one of 3 people, I think maybe 3 or 4 people that actually read my blog when I was blogging.
yeah.
Thank you for being my top number 1 fan. Some days I didn't want to write, and you would send me an email and you'd say, "Hey, when you gonna write something?"
It's because
You
again,
you would totally do it to me, and I would go like, "Oh, I really should." And I would always feel so amazing after I did it, because I was like, I just really needed to write something. So I know, and then I hit away, and I haven't been doing it for a long time, but I'm going to get back to it because I miss it so much, even though I only have like 3 readers.
it doesn't matter. I would. I think I did it. I did it like for 7 straight months where I was just writing every day, and it wasn't the fact that people
It's good
were.
practice. good
Yeah.
form. It's good if you're a writer to hold yourself accountable to do something on a daily
Oh,
basis. I mean, like if nobody reads it, it doesn't even matter. But getting into the process of writing, one of my favorite books on writing is by this author, and she was like from the 1920s. Her name was Barbara Euland,
yeah.
and she wrote a book about if you want to write. And it was very revolutionary because she was a woman and she was writing and she was telling women to stop doing their dishes and stop cleaning their houses and write, and to put their kids and make their kids sit and do something while they wrote, and teach their children that writing was important and it was a job. And so that's what I did when I had my daughter. She knew that when I was writing that I was doing my work. And she also has this line, and she says, like, every day you have to take the trash out, and that means every day you have to write. You have to write and get the trash out. You got to get everything that's floating up on top. That's like the nonsense and the weird and like the not too interesting, but it's hanging out in your head kind of thing. And you got to write it every day. And so, like, I think blogging is kind of like taking out the trash sometimes, except that sometimes you run into a couple of really cool things in the trash. You can recycle.
Yeah.
It's something you can wear to the party. You never
Yeah.
know what you're gonna find. And so, yeah. So Barbara Euland, nobody knows who she is, but it's okay if you find her book, read it. It's
Most
wonderful.
definitely. And
Yeah,
one more question from Mr. Gorman.
sure.
He was asking, where did you get the name ambergris from?
We had written a lot of names down that we wanted, because basically all four members are crazy, weird writers, people, creative weirdos that
Yeah,
watch.
exactly.
We came up with some doozies. I mean, I wish I had the list right here, but because my Chris Zimmerly is he's I can't even put into words the kind of creative person he is. But he had this amazing list, and they said everybody. We were like saying everybody write like about 4 or 5 names down that you really like, and then of course Carlos and I, we didn't do anything. We showed up. We're like, oh, we're serious. You really want us to write something
Yeah.
down? Like, yeah. And so Chris starts reading this list, and it was just everything was just crazy. And when he said ambergris, I just said I really like that name. I just like the way it sounds. And he says, you do understand that ambergris is whale vomit, like fossil whale vomit. And I
Oh, that's
said,
awesome.
who knows? Who is going to know that? It sounds great. I could see it written in 1970s bubble letters, like neon almost, and it just looked really like comforting. And that's the name that I wanted. And so we all voted on it, and they let me because I'm sick and I can do whatever I want apparently. So
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
that's
you
pretty
just
cool.
want some she'll leave us alone. So that's how we came up with it. Chris Simmerly, he's the guy. I'm pretty sure it came from his vaults. He's got like weird cobwebby like in the back of his head,
Yeah,
and when she opened that stuff up, it's insane. So I really have to hand it to him.
that's
And
pretty awesome, though. That's wonderful, though, because that's the backstory of how, you know, some people just give a simple answer. Well, I just like this name. I think I like your story better because then you go back and you say, well, you know what it is, right?
it's
It's which is awesome, because
what's
then
great.
people,
It's kind of taken on the theme, and our music is it kind of is like you hear a lot of sea shanties, a
yeah,
lot of whale sounds, a lot of ocean waves. It's kind of taken over the because everything is it's all improvisational. We do have a couple of set things that we kind of work in and around, but most of it is improvisational. So it just kind of depends on how we're feeling the night that we're playing. Um, I don't know what's going to become of it, but I know that I look forward to doing it every time we get
Eh,
together. I love it.
you know,
So much
and
fun.
sometimes that's all it is. It's something that you love doing, and you don't have to have a means to the end. You don't have to go, well, this is, some people just love to run. You know, they're like, why do you like to run? I just love to run. I'm not one of those people, but I
Oh,
see people, I see people running sometimes, and I go, I hope they're, some people, oh, I'm running to lose weight, I'm running to lose this, and then there's some people I just love to run. I'm like, okay, well,
honestly, I used to run a long time ago for about 2 minutes. I don't. It was very short time, but I did. I get it. I get like the runner's high.
yeah,
Um, but I get that off of being on stage now.
yeah,
So that's my runner's high is being on stage, regardless of whether I'm doing poetry or music or hosting or emceeing, which I've done emceeing, John, which is really weird, but a lot of fun. Um, or instructing other people to be on stage or helping them find their voice.
yeah.
I love being on stage. And then
Have you,
Hana Cosmica, that was insane, and I hope we do some more work together with Tamitha Curiel and Priscilla Rice and myself. And she's gonna kill me because I just blanked because she's so beautiful. She's got 2 or 3 other names that she goes by, and Amy Zapian. My God, I love you, Amy. I didn't forget you. I don't know how to pronounce her other name though because I don't know Spanish as well as I should. But that was tremendous and crazy and weird, and we had a lot of fun doing that too. So, um, and that's another thing. Like if I hadn't have done that, I wouldn't have tried to do other things after that either. So
yeah,
the
that's,
story is to not be afraid and to try it. Don't
that's
be
one of
afraid
the things.
of it.
One of the things I'm trying to do is I want to try to practice public speaking. I want to go on stage and
You
talk to
should.
people, and that's why, like, I would love to go do open mic poetry, getting myself accustomed to being there.
I
I think,
be your first. I
I
want to be
think
your
that
first open mic. I really think you owe it to me as a friend to come to
yes.
my open mic and be the first. Do the
Oh,
first one with
if I go, when I go, it'll be with you.
you. Go.
When I go, not
Yes.
if. Okay.
When.
So this is awesome. This has been an awesome experience for my first real legitimate live stream. So thank you so much for hopping on.
Yeah, I had so
Um,
much fun.
and believe me, we'll do this again because I've
Oh,
had
I'm
so much. It's
excited.
been a blast. Okay.
All
So
right.
again, just send me any links you have. I'll put them in the show notes and I'll post them down below because I'm broadcasting on 4 different platforms right now. As a matter of fact, I'm streaming on Twitter, YouTube Live, Facebook, and also on my Facebook page. So it's like 2 different. So it's streaming in 4 different places. So when I'm done, like again, and then I want to put it into a podcast, so it'll be out there in the world 5 different ways. So I'm casting my net out there as far as I can.
Great. Well,
So
thank you so much. This has been so much fun.
yes, we'll do this again, and I'm gonna email you, or not even email. That's an old way of saying things. I'm gonna message you and text you, and we'll set up a new when I can go do my first poetry read.
Yay! I'm excited.
So
It's gonna be great. I
now I
love
can't
it.
now I can't go back on it because I'm putting it live out there for the world to see. So I'm going.
You heard it, folks.
So okay, it was good talking to you again. Thank you so much for hopping on, and everybody, I'll see you tomorrow night. I don't know if my guest will be available tomorrow night. That's always a
I'll
funky
tell you
proposition.
what. But we'll talk again if you need to talk. You can ring me up
Okay,
anytime.
anytime. All right, I got you. So if my guest doesn't show up and you get a phone call or you get a message from me, you know what it means.
Okay.
Okay, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Have a good one. And let me go ahead and end with my outro. There it goes.
That was so much fun.